You know that specific sinking feeling
Yeah.
in your stomach when you realize you haven't texted your best friend from college in like 6 months.
Oh,
You
yeah.
see their name in your phone, you think, I should say hi, but
Yeah.
then you don't. And then because you feel guilty, you wait another 2 months.
And suddenly it's a year, and now it feels just way too awkward to say hello, so you say nothing.
Exactly. The guilt spiral.
Huh.
And for the longest time, I thought this was some deep personal character flaw, that I was just lazy, or maybe I was secretly a bad friend.
Right.
But I've got this stack of research in front of me today that says, actually, it might just be a hardware problem.
You're not a bad person. You're just running outdated software on biological hardware that frankly wasn't built for the modern world.
That is a very, very comforting thought. Today, we are doing a deep dive into a really fascinating and, honestly, slightly terrifying piece by Ryan Collison from the blog Money Sex Nerd.
It's called The End of Dunbar: Hyper Self-Actualization and Microtribes.
And don't let that academic title fool you.
Mhm.
The implications here are, well, they're massive.
We are talking about how AI is about to fundamentally change who your friends are, how you interact with them, and maybe even how society itself is structured.
Yeah, we're talking about shattering a limit that has defined our species for, what, 200,000 years?
Uh-huh.
So to get there, we have to start with the magic number.
Dunbar's number.
Dunbar's number. Most people have probably heard of it, but let's make sure we're all on the same page. It's 150, right?
150, give or take.
Oh.
Yeah. This came from a British anthropologist, Robin Dunbar, back in the 90s.
Okay.
He looked at primates, monkeys, apes, and he found this direct ratio between the size of the neocortex, the thinking part of the brain,
Right.
and the size of their social group. Basically, you measure a monkey's brain, you can predict how many buddies it has.
And when you plug humans into that same equation, you get 150.
Exactly. And the really crazy thing is, when you look back through history, that number is it's everywhere. It's like a ghost in the machine of human affairs.
Like what?
Well, Neolithic farming villages, they usually capped out at about 150 people.
Wow.
Roman military companies, about 150. The source even mentions Hutterite colonies.
Yeah, I saw that. They split the colony in two and it gets too big.
When it's 150, they just instinctively know that beyond that number, the community starts to break down. Even like our old address books, they usually topped out around there.
It's like an invisible electric fence for our social lives.
An electric fence, yes, perfect analogy. So we have this limit.
And I think for most of us, when we hear about Dunbar's number, we think of it as an emotional limit. Like, I only have enough love in my heart for 150 people. If I try to care about person number 151, I'm tapped out.
That is the standard interpretation. But here is the key insight from Collison's article, and this is where everything starts to pivot.
Okay.
The source argues it's not emotional, it's computational. It's all about cognitive overhead.
Cognitive overhead. I love that term. It sounds so, I don't know, so cold.
Yeah.
But when you break it down, it makes perfect sense.
Think about what it actually takes to maintain a friendship. It's not just good vibes. It is data management.
So much data, man.
So much. To really be friends with someone, you have to maintain a model of their life inside your own head.
You have to remember their partner's name. You have to remember they're allergic to shellfish. You have to remember they were stressed about that presentation last Tuesday.
And you have to remember the history. Oh, we don't talk about his dad, or she's currently fighting with her sister. Every single person you know takes up a slot of RAM in your brain.
You're tracking their state. Are they happy? Are they mad at me? Are they looking for a job?
And the article's argument is that your brain physically cannot process the state of more than 150 people at once. It is literally a data processing bottleneck.
It's not that you don't care about person 151.
No, it's that your brain starts overwriting data to make room for something new.
Okay, this really, really clicked for me when the author listed the symptoms of hitting the wall. I felt so personally called out.
Which ones hit home for you?
Confusing which friend told you which story. I do that constantly. I'll start telling someone a story and they'll get this deadpan look on their face and just say,
yeah, I told you that.
yes, every time.
That is a classic RAM overflow error. Your brain held on to the date of the story, but it lost the source tag.
Or double booking. That's a huge one for me. Or the worst one, unintentional ghosting, where you see a text, you mentally reply, I'll get to that in a second, and then poof, 3 weeks go by.
And that kicks off what Collison calls the degradation cycle.
Yeah.
This was really insightful.
Okay.
It's not that you just decide to end a friendship. It's that as your bandwidth gets maxed out, your responses get slower.
And then when you finally do respond, it's totally generic. It's just, haha, totally, or hope you're good.
Exactly. You lose the specific context.
Yeah.
You lose the data that makes the relationship feel real. You stop asking, hey, how did your mom's surgery go? Because you forgot she even had surgery.
Yep. So you just say, what's up?
And eventually, the relationship just withers. Not from a lack of love, but from a lack of data.
So we have this biological hard drive that is way too small for the world we live in now.
Yeah.
We're trying to run a global social network on hardware designed for a tiny village in the Stone Age.
Enter AI.
Enter the infinite expansion pack.
This is the core of the whole argument. What happens when you can outsource that social memory to a machine? And AI doesn't have a Dunbar number.
It never runs out of RAM.
It never forgets your cousin's birthday, and it definitely doesn't confuse Sarah with Sandra.
The article paints this picture of the pre-briefing, and I want to walk through this because it feels like something out of a spy movie, but it also feels like it's going to be an app on our phones in like 6 months.
Probably sooner. So the scenario goes like this. You're about to call an old friend. Let's call him Mark. You haven't spoken in a year.
Oh, that call is agonizingly awkward.
The worst. You spend the first 10 minutes just fishing, trying to remember if he still works at that bank or if he ever moved to Chicago like he said he would.
Yeah. How's life? Painful.
It's just painful. But in this scenario, before you dial, your AI whispers in your ear or, flashes on your smart glasses, and it says, you last spoke 8 months ago. Mark was worried about layoffs at his company. His daughter, Lily, just started kindergarten, and you guys bonded over that new sci-fi show.
That is a complete game changer.
It totally removes the cold start problem. You pick up the phone and you don't say, what's up? You say, hey, Mark, did you survive the layoffs? How is Lily liking kindergarten?
You skip all the small talk and go straight to the meaningful stuff.
Yeah.
You sound like the most attentive, caring friend in the world.
Because you are fully briefed. You have the context. And because the cognitive overhead, that effort of remembering, is now zero, the question becomes, why stop at 150?
Right. If I don't have to use my own brain power to remember the details, why can't I have 500 friends or 1,000?
And that is the end of Dunbar. If the limit was processing power and processing power just became infinite, well, the limit is gone.
But this is where it gets weird for me. Because if I have 1,000 friends, that's not a village anymore. That's a small town. The whole structure of my social life has to change. I can't be friends with everyone in the same way.
And that brings us to the next concept, micro-tribes. This is where the article shifts from just better memory to really a whole new sociology.
Okay, explain the micro-tribe. How is that different from just having a lot of acquaintances on Facebook?
So traditionally, your tribe was accidental. It was your neighbors, your coworkers, the other parents at your kid's school.
Proximity was destiny.
Proximity was destiny, exactly. You were stuck with them because of geography. But if you can maintain relationships without proximity, because an AI is bridging that gap and keeping the context alive, you can form tribes based purely on shared interest.
No matter where they are.
It doesn't matter where they are. A microtribe might be 10 people spread across Tokyo, Berlin, and Austin who are all obsessed with, say, restoring vintage synthesizers.
Okay, but we kind of have that now, don't we? We have Facebook groups, we have subreddits. I'm in a group for people who like mechanical keyboards.
We do, but those are usually pretty loose connections. You don't know those people intimately. You don't know about their kids or their health struggles. Collison argues that with AI assistance, those distributed groups can have the intimacy of a village.
So it's the depth of a best friend, but with the specificity of an internet forum.
That's a great way to put it. You could belong to 20 different microtribes, one for parenting advice, one for your career, one for your most obscure hobby. And because the AI manages the overhead, you're not overwhelmed. You can actually be present for all of them.
The article talks about weak ties here, and I feel like weak ties usually get a bad rap. We think of them as shallow, meaningless connections.
Sociologists actually love weak ties. There's a famous theory about the strength of weak ties.
Right.
Your close friends, your strong ties, they usually know the same people you do. They hear the same information. It's an echo chamber.
Right. If I know about a job opening, my best friend probably already knows about it too.
Precisely. But weak ties, people you see once a year, friends of friends, they are your bridge to totally new worlds. They bring you novel information. They bring you job offers you would have never seen otherwise.
But weak ties are the first thing to go when we get busy. When I'm swamped, I am not calling the guy I met at a conference in 2019.
Because they're high maintenance for a low, immediate payoff. But AI changes that math. If you can keep 500-week ties warm with almost zero effort, you suddenly have this massive active network bringing you opportunities.
It's that hyper self-actualization idea. You're
Yeah.
curating a world that is perfectly tailored to your interests and your needs.
It becomes a post-geographic identity. You're not just the guy from Ohio anymore. You're the guy who belongs to these 30 specific high-value networks.
Okay, I have to play the skeptic here. Because I could just hear people screaming at their speakers right now. I feel it in my gut, too.
The authenticity debate.
Yes. Is any of this real? If I need a robot to remind me that your mom is sick, am I actually a good friend? Or am I just a really efficient sociopath?
It feels like a performance of intimacy, doesn't it? A simulation.
It feels hollow. Like my rule has always been, if I cared, I would remember. If it matters, it sticks.
That is the romantic view, and it's a beautiful one. But the source pushes back on this hard. It asks a really uncomfortable question.
That's that.
Is it more real to just forget?
Oof. Okay, put that way.
Is there some deep moral virtue in your biological limitation? If you genuinely want to be a supportive friend, your intention is pure, but your brain just hits that 150 wall and you drop the ball, is that better than using a tool to make sure you don't drop the ball?
That's the intention versus capacity argument right there.
Exactly. If the AI helps you bridge the gap between who you want to be and what your brain can actually handle, maybe that makes you a better friend, a more actualized version of yourself.
It's like wearing glasses. You know, if I have bad eyesight, I wear glasses to see you. I don't say, oh, using lenses is inauthentic. I should just squint at you.
This is social glasses. It corrects a biological deficit. But, and this is a big but,
There's always a but.
the article brings up the asymmetry problem. And honestly, this is the part that kept me up at night. Because this technology isn't going to roll out to everyone at the exact same moment.
We're creating a class divide.
A massive one. Imagine two people going for a promotion. Person A is augmented. They have an AI whispering in their ear.
They remember every single client's kid's name. They send a specialized birthday gift to the boss based on some offhand comment from 6 months ago. They seem superhumanly charismatic.
And then there's person B, the unaugmented person.
Yeah.
Relying on sticky notes and their tired biological brain.
They forget the client's name. They miss the birthday. They just look normal.
But compared to person A, they look rude. They look disorganized. They look less capable. This isn't just about being popular. This is about social capital.
It's about power.
Yes. The article compares it to email versus snail mail. The person with email could move 100 times faster. Here, the person with the social AI will accumulate opportunities and connections at a rate that the unaugmented person just cannot match.
So you essentially have to get the upgrade or you become socially obsolete.
It forces an arms race. If everyone else is using a CRM for their friendships and you're not, you are bringing a knife to a gunfight.
That sounds completely dystopian. It turns friendship into a competitive sport.
It could. And it leads to the loneliness paradox. We already see this with social media. We're more connected than ever, but we feel lonelier than ever.
Because quantity isn't quality.
Not at all. The source warns that AI could put this on steroids. There are two paths here. The dystopian path is what the author calls being connected but alone. You use the AI to maintain 500 relationships, but they're all an inch deep.
You're just farming likes, but in real life.
You're automating the happy birthday texts. You're spreading your attention so thin that you have no strong ties left. You have a massive network, but nobody to call when you're crying at 3 in the morning.
But there is a utopian path. And I want to believe in
The utopian path is about being deliberate. The source suggests you use the AI to automate the noise, let it handle the maintenance of your 400 acquaintances, let it track the birthdays, send the articles.
which frees up your actual brain.
Exactly. It buys back your cognitive overhead. And you take that freed up energy and you pour it with intention into your top 10 or 20 relationships. You use the tech to buy yourself the time to be truly present with the people who matter most.
So it's not about having more friends. It's about outsourcing the shallows so you can dive into the deeps.
That is the ideal. But the technology doesn't force you to do that. The path of least resistance is just to hoard connections. You have to actively choose depth.
It reminds me of the ending of the article. It talks of the future of tribes. It says something like, tribes can build cathedrals or burn witches.
The structure enables both. That's the final provocation. We're moving from a world of accidental tribes, our neighbors, our countrymen, to chosen tribes.
Which we've seen with things like Discord servers or online political groups. They can be incredibly tight-knit.
And incredibly powerful. When you remove the friction of geography and memory, you can organize people faster and more effectively than ever. You can build a microtribe to solve a rare disease, or you can build one to harass someone online.
The tech just amplifies the intent. It's a tool. It just makes us more of whatever we already are.
If we're shallow, it makes us infinitely shallow. If we're thoughtful, it allows us to be thoughtful at scale.
Well, on that note, I am looking at my phone right now, and I am terrified to open my texts. I feel like I need to go apologize to about 40 people for being a low-bandwidth human.
Don't apologize. Just wait for the app. It'll write the apology for you.
Huh. Very true. But seriously, for everyone listening, here's the question to chew on. If you didn't have to worry about the awkwardness, if you knew you'd be fully briefed and the conversation would flow perfectly, who is the first person you would call?
Who is on the other side of your Dunbar wall?
Think about that. Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive.
See you next time.